Welcome to Conversations with Leaders in Luxury. I'm Chris Olshan, founder and chairman of the Young Luxury Marketers Council and chief marketing officer for the Luxury Marketing Council. Today I have the privilege to be here with Shameek Bose, the head of partnerships for Amphar. Shameek, it's a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for coming. Why don't you start by giving us some of your background?
Sure. Chris, thanks so much for having me here today.
Of course.
Funny enough, I actually started out my career in the private sector in a bank as a banker. And since then, I've transitioned into the nonprofit sector.
Okay.
One of the reasons I did that is I really wanted to understand how the two sectors talk to each other. And so when I went back to graduate school, I spent some time focusing on this intersection between the private and public space. And today, I work in the capacity to build private-public partnerships.
Okay. So why don't we start, since you are a board member of the Young Luxury Marketers Council as well as a member of the council, why don't we start, since this is the Young Luxury Marketers segment, on your take on the millennial market and how you see that market differing from the market of the baby boomers and Gen Xers.
Sure. I would say the millennium market is poised for tremendous growth. If you look at their spending power, it's going to be increasing to about $15 trillion by 2015, which is right around the corner next year. The millennium market has also been surveyed a whole bunch of times, and we have found that about 88% of them think that corporations should really be giving back as part of their charitable initiatives. So they really want to buy products that both have an impact and also perform really well.
Since you are in charge of the partnerships and collaborations for Amphar, why don't we start with having you also give us your insights on how the millennial market is spending. Obviously, corporate social responsibility is an impact, but what really is driving the millennials' purchasing decisions in luxury brands?
Millennials really want to see that the companies that they're buying products from also have an impact both on the society and environment. And so when they buy their products, they actually do a lot of due diligence and research before they make those purchasing decisions, which is really unlike previous generations because the millennium as a customer base is extremely informed. They tend to follow brands on Twitter, and they really respond well to PR efforts made by the companies. So as a trend, global brands are forging a lot of partnerships with nonprofits and aligning their causes and values with the mission of the nonprofit. Also, stepping back for a second, one of the things that's important to note is that the global consumer is also very conscious of who they're buying their products from. And when polled by a recent Edelman study, we found that the global consumer would even consider switching a brand to a competitor if the brand is viewed as more responsible in doing their business.
We've actually done a lot of discussion on this as well, and something we've come to find is from especially heritage brands, the business of the millennial customer is not assured for a heritage brand unless they go out and market to that brand, that customer again as a new customer. The assumption that because a millennial's father or mother or grandparents bought from a company doesn't guarantee that that millennial is also going to be buying. So with that said, what can brands do to better market to these young, affluent consumers?
I think the first thing to recognize is that the consumer today is extremely conscious, right? And so the marketing strategies have to be tailored in such a way that they really engage with them beyond just the product, to have a dialogue beyond the product. And oftentimes how you do that is with partnering with a nonprofit. I can give you two examples of nonprofit partners that currently have had a lot of success with it. One is the Mac Viva Glam campaign. The campaign has raised over $250 million by using celebrity ambassadors such as Lady Gaga and Nicki Minaj. Essentially, they're selling $15 lipsticks, and the campaign has been so successful, it's been proven to be a really great fundraising model because all of the proceeds from the Mac Viva Glam campaign actually support HIV and AIDS-related causes throughout the world.
Okay.
And also a second partnership that has done really well for Amphar itself is the Kiehl's Life Ride. This is a fan favorite because it's motorcycle bike riders, celebrities that are stopping in Kiehl stores along the way. And not only are they combating stigma around HIV and AIDS, but we're using this platform to raise awareness and fundraise for Amphar, and has been extremely successful. And there's also a return on investment from Kiehl's as they see their sales increasing by 20% on a yearly basis as a result of all their efforts.
All right, so before we go any farther into partnerships, why don't you give me just a quick snapshot in the background on what and who Amphar is? Obviously, most people know it's age research, but can you give me just a little bit broader of a scope of who they are?
Sure. AMFAR, the Foundation for AIDS Research, was started as a response to the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s by two dynamic women, Elizabeth Taylor and Dr. Mathilda Krim. And in its 26-year history, we currently have 3 functional cures out in the market that have been supported through AMFAR dollars. And our goal is really simple. It's to find a universal cure that can be applied globally. And that's the work that we're currently trying to fund and find a cure for AIDS.
Okay, and Kenneth Cole is your chairman right now, right?
That's correct.
So if you'd like, also check out on our website the Kenneth Cole interview from February of 2013, which was a wonderful event with big thanks to you, Shameek, for helping put it together. So from a partnership standpoint, since we're going back to the idea of collaborations, are there any other partnerships that you'd like to talk about or mention? I know, especially with you guys, you're always being creative with who you work with and ways to get the message out there. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about some of the other brands you're working with.
Yeah, I think 2 of our really significant partnerships are definitely with Delta. Our work is really global in nature, both from a philanthropic fundraising standpoint and also from a programmatic standpoint. And so to get us to the corners of the world, we really need to have an equally global partner, and Delta is able to help us deliver our products and services and help us fundraise all over the world. And a more recent partnership that we recently embarked on is with Microsoft. With their launching of their Surface tablets, we have integrated them into our Global Events Inspiration Series. And that has been a very fruitful relationship for both Microsoft, getting their brand and awareness about their product, as well as helping us out.
Okay, great. All right, so now some personal questions, which are always kind of the fun part of looking at young leaders in luxury. The first question is, what do you do with your free time, if you have any?
Yeah, I love to go running in Central Park. I live just a couple of blocks away from there, so that's one of my favorite things to do.
Okay. What about last book you read?
The last book I'm reading is called Conscious Capitalism. It's by the ex-CEO of Whole Foods, and it's an awesome book.
Okay. Well, that's books, that's free time. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us and kind of bring to our audience and let our audience know about you? Or about partnerships, or how about the Young Council? How you see that evolving, or some of the value adds to that?
I think the Young Council is really poised for the next generation of leaders in the luxury space. And when we're thinking about executing on new campaigns and new strategies and bringing on nonprofit partners, it's really important to understand how we can differentiate our brands. And that usually means having a conversation beyond the product. And I've given a couple of examples of how that's been done successfully, and my hope is that my work in the Young Council, along with the corporate partners, will be able to think of more creative ways to engage the luxury audience going forward.
Well, Shameek, thank you so much for coming out and interviewing with us today. I look forward to seeing you at our next event, and hopefully working with you on another event with AMFAR this year. To our audience, thank you for the investment of your time and the luxury of your company. Again, I'm Chris Olshan, founder and chairman of the Young Luxury Marketers Council and chief marketing officer of the Luxury Marketing Council, and this has been Conversations with Leaders in Luxury.